this is a painting interface that's showing, this is showing one interpretation of an opinion landscape, a perspective landscape, I guess, and it's essentially a group of people together. This is people who were from Slovakia who were like talking about their isolation from the EU. They're in a democratic backslide moment. This was from a few years ago, and they basically disagreed and agreed with a bunch of statements. I'm just gonna like the clustering algorithm has put people together who share a lot of structure, as in they're in their agreement and disagreement data. So I'm just gonna like kind of color the groups that are looking to be about similar, or like there's some, I could use a clustering algorithm, but I think it's interesting to kind of just paint these things on. Okay, maybe one more. I know there's a density thing there. Here's some yellow. And let's say, I'll just call this last group blue. Okay, so now what we can do is we can click these groups, and this is translating from Slovakia, and you can kind of see, this group agrees very highly, this little green thing, and this is the comparison with all the other groups of the different colors. And basically each tab is showing the statements that are highly agreed on within that group, and then we can compare it with other ones and kind of look for the differences. So for this statement, without the EU, we have no chance, even if it doesn't work ideally. It's the best alternative. So we can click that, and then we can see how that breaks down across through all these people. And we can also see like, oh, this group feels pretty strongly that by working together at the European level, we can achieve what we can't do on our own. They disagree that they don't feel European. If you look at that, that's an interesting one. Okay, these are all the people who disagree. Just noting, this might not be the right projection, but it's just one we're going to try to tell stories about. There are some other ones that might be more legitimate, but anyway, for now, we'll just assume this is a decent one, even though that's kind of for... Okay, so now we can see all these groups essentially have these... all these groups are here. We can also see some other layers. I don't know if that's interesting. That's like the number of things they voted on, so you can kind of see like, oh, this group is apathetic down here, which is maybe says something about how legitimate it is. But anyway, so we're going to go back to the votes. And so I don't have this baked in, but the thing that I'm interested in is this other tab. Like, what is it to plot routes through such an opinion space or a perspective map? So I've got a little demo set up of this other side. And so this is the same data. It's just not tied together yet. So we can click a source point. Like, this is a person. Maybe it's you. We can pick a destination, which is maybe this is like... these actually are the very pro-Russian people over here. So what we can do is we can actually stitch together a route through all the perspectives and all the people. But I have it set to like, there's a cost to being dense for density. So I have it, right now it's avoiding density. So it's essentially like doing stuff from Greg Egan's Unstable Orbits in the Space of Lies, where like somebody is like has a belief in paths and they move between groups instead of inside them. And so these are essentially like people who are peripheral or like not falling within the centers for whatever reason. And that can be like real reasons, or maybe just because there's not enough data on them and they look kind of a little strange to the algorithm. But essentially, these people, I like up here, we kind of like weave between groups and around the edges. So it's really, I'm very curious because this is a continuous chain of human values going from one side of the map or the value manifold to the other. So like this maybe is like some super progressive person who's like very pro-EU. This person is maybe very pro-Russia. And like this is a continuous chain of people along through value space, through the largest dimensions of value space that seem to matter in this topic. And each person is, in many ways probably very much like the person in front and behind them. But interestingly, these people, instead of going through the density clusters, they actually kind of like go through all the outsiders, all the people who don't fit into the clusters for whatever reason. So it's like an interesting, like what would it be to throw a party with all these people or invite these people to make a decision on an important topic? Like, they're their own sort of, I imagine each of these people, or a lot of these people might have interesting stories. Anyhow, I'm interested in using this for developing more representative publics, mini publics. but also just for like, I don't know, throwing weird events, I guess, or like maybe deciding you should invite to like ask a question at an event. Like if you have one of these maps for the people who are engaged in the topic. Um, anyhow, I think there's a lot here. Anyhow, that's all. Thanks.